Welcome to IBFD Tax Takes. This is the second episode in our series of short videos on the tax implications of the COVID-19 crisis. And today we'll be looking at the impact on tax administrations. I'm Barry Larking, and I'm very pleased to have with me today, all the way from Norway, Øivind Strømme, who is the International Director at the Norwegian Tax Administration. Welcome, Øivind. Now, you have another credential that links you to this topic. What is that?
Well, thank you, first of all, Barry, for this kind invitation to this seminar. Well, my link to the is that the Norwegian Tax Administration is holding the chair for the Forum of Tax Administration in the OECD.
Okay, can you tell us a little, just explain for the viewers, Forum on Tax Administration?
Yes, gladly. Well, it is an OECD group which brings together the leaders for 53 OECD countries, 53 tax administration at the OECD and G20 members.
Okay, and what are they doing? What's their involvement with this?
Well, in order to help tax administration globally with the response on the COVID-19 crisis, the FDA has been seeking to join up the members in two main ways. First, by establishing two new vertical groups to bring together.
Virtual groups, is that, yeah?
Yes, vertical groups.
Okay,
yeah.
Which is very, very appropriate in these days.
Definitely, it's not an alternative. We had to be virtual. And then the second, we have pulled together two reference documents based on input from the member administrations. And these have been published and can be found on the OECD website. The intention of these two documents is to set out considerations that administrations may want to take into account, as well as some examples of what different administrations have done. They deliberately do not make recommendations, since the starting points, domestic context, and legal possibilities are very country-specific.
Thanks, Øivind. Well, this sounds like a great initiative, but one thing puzzles me. You said the FTA is a combination of the OECD and the G20. Why have you not made it more inclusive and, for example, involved the BEPS inclusive framework, the World Bank, IMF, the United Nations, and so on?
Well, we have, in fact, a very good cooperation with the World Bank and the IMF. And we also have a very good cooperation with the IOTA, which are the European tax organization, and also CIAT, which are the American tax organization. So we have a good cooperation, and we talk to them. And so this is a little bit more than only the OECD.
Okay, so it is really an inclusive group. That sounds very sensible in these times. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about these two documents that you mentioned that have been produced by the FTA?
Yeah, gladly. But the first document is on measures to support taxpayers. This is not intended to be a completion of action that are being taken by each country. There are a number of now those available, and they are very useful, definitely, on the web. But rather, our document sets out some design considerations, such as whether measures should be targeted and how to avoid support measures having adverse consequences.
Okay, I mean, those are clearly very crucial issues currently being discussed, and we will be focusing on those in an upcoming video in more detail. For now, we're going to focus on this second document that you mentioned, which has the title Tax Administration Response to COVID-19, Business Continuity Considerations. So what's it all about?
Well, the second document on business continuity tries to draw out the main operational considerations for administrations in the context of COVID-19.
Okay. Well, looking at those issues, Øivind, and I've read the report, they're obviously of crucial importance to tax administrations in terms of their internal operations, but it's clear that they're also relevant for how tax administrations interact with each other, and equally importantly, how tax administrations interact with their customers, so that taxpayers, for example, know what to expect from their local tax office, wherever that may be, even if it's in the cloud nowadays. Can you give us a little bit more insight into the kind of issue that this document is highlighting?
Definitely. Just wanted to say that we suspect that a lot of business continuity plans have not proved fully durable in the light of the four main distinguishing features of the pandemic. Its direction, the transmission risk of the virus, the extent of government actions such as restrictions on travel, and the depth on the impact on the economy and particular sectors.
Okay.
We have identified 10 different areas of concern, which are summarized on this flyer.
Okay. So what would you say are the most important of those considerations today?
Well, we have 10, as I said, 10 considerations. The first is government's arrangements, how to make them robust, fully informed, and agile.
Okay, so if I think of governance arrangements making them robust, fully informed, and agile, I would kind of expect that already to be the case with tax administrations as a taxpayer. Is this simply a question of tax administrations putting their house in order, or is there something else involved?
Yeah, this is about we are in very special times, and what should we do? It is well, you know, the tax office is closed. You can't get we can't do our control. It's not so easy to get through to the tax offices. So this is a very special situation. So that's what things about, and it's very different also between the countries and the tax administration, because some of them have all the services on the website, but other countries has not come so far. So therefore, it's useful to help each other and give very good support to each other, good ideas to how to manage this situation.
Okay, great. So what else is on the list?
Then it's a scenario planning, looking at the impact from different evaluations of the crisis, in particular identifying the risk of quick jumps between scenarios. Okay,
quick jumps between scenarios. So that kind of goes back to your agility point, to bear in mind different possibilities. Having read the report, they refer to worst case scenarios. Could you give us some kind of indication as to what they're referring to?
Yeah, well, in fact, there also is a difference between the tax administrations, of course, because if you are a tax administration that have digitalized your services full out, there is one worst case scenario could then be something, and then if you not have done that, there can be something else. So, okay. It's yeah, but I think it's very important for tax administrators to do that kind of scenario, and that's what's the intention with this point.
Okay, okay. So what else should tax administrations be looking at?
Well, the identification of critical and non-critical tax administration functions.
Okay, I'm just thinking critical, I think, is probably something also that depends on the tax administration concerned. Okay, it does kind of make me think of hospitals that are having to choose between different patients in terms of who goes into intensive care and who doesn't. Should taxpayers be concerned about tax administrations choosing between, you know, what is critical and what is not?
No. As in the last point, it's very important for the tax administration to have really and the management to really get through this critical and what is not critical tasks and functions, because and also it's different from tax administrations to tax administrations. In these days, we have we all the companies and the individuals, we are delivering our tax return. And that's an example of a critical task right now. That had to be done, you know. But it could be other tasks is not so critical, and then we can do that later.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that that's critical from a government perspective, because if they don't do that, the revenue simply doesn't come in. So,
True.
yeah. Any other issues that the tax administration should be looking at?
Well, understanding of critical vulnerabilities, including contingent vulnerabilities and mitigation strategies is one point as
Okay,
well.
so vulnerabilities, risks. I can imagine that this is looking at things like taxpayers taking advantage or misusing the crisis and the tax relief measures that have been put in place. Is that the kind of thing that that needs to be looked out for here?
Yeah, that's right. For example, here in Norway, many politicians is very well. They're talking about it had not. This must not be abused in any way. The new what can I say? The new well, the governments in many countries now, they are using a lot of money on their on the companies so they're not going bankrupt, etc. And they have and of course, and then of course some companies or some individuals as well can abuse this, and it's important that for the society, of course, and for the tax administration, that we establish very good routine and have and use our experts and our competence, so that's not be it.
Okay, well, look, these are issues that are currently top of the list in terms of things that attention points for tax administrations during the current crisis. Looking to the hopefully not too distant future, when the crisis is behind us and we're in the so-called recovery period, what are the kind of things that tax administrations should be looking at?
Well, in fact, now we are discussing in the FDA that we will have a third document with that issue. It's so important for us now.
Okay, so we need to do a new video on that, or can you give
yes,
us?
Yeah, maybe we will. Yeah.
Okay, can you give us a hint of what?
I'm happy to come back to you, Barry.
Good. Give us a hint of what to expect.
So yeah, it's a joining up with the government on the trade-offs of supporting recovery while repairing public finances. For example, how long should the debt recovery be deferred? On the one hand, the raises risk of non-payment as well as fairness and competition concerns.
Yeah, so if you defer the payment deadline too long, then there is a risk of
yes.
This tension.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And on the other hand, a quick recovery of debt can impact heavily on taxpayers in continuing difficulty.
Yeah, that's good for governments, but bad for taxpayers.
True.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, of course, presentation of the road to normality. It's very important, of course. And when and we have to do it now, because we have to be prepared of that as well, of course. And that's include auditing and other compliance activities, how to restart, and what kind of sequences. It should not be too hard on the businesses, but not too soft either. So that's we have to have a plan for that.
Okay.
We think.
Okay. What about lessons learned from the crisis? Is that
definitely yes, that's really important. That's the last point, in fact, and that includes crisis response issues such as ability to work remotely or implement fast-moving policy changes, as well as how to capitalize on the current close supportive relationship between tax administrations and taxpayers, which has no longer term benefits or for society and the economy. So that's kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah. So you're talking about like a new relationship, if you like, between tax administrations and taxpayers, a sort of more healthy, proactive, cooperative relationship. And I guess what you're saying really is that maybe something positive is coming out of the COVID-19 crisis, in terms of how tax administrations operate and how they interact with their taxpayers. Would that be right?
Yes, definitely, and we discuss it very much because as I mentioned, digitalization will really going further, you know,
okay.
and we can see how that's impact for the payment of the taxes and the services for the between the tax administration and taxpayer.
Yeah. Okay, well, Øivind, there really was not enough time to deal with all the issues, I understand, but thank you so much for sharing your insights with us and our viewers on this issue, and good luck with the next steps in this process. Thank you also to our viewers for tuning in, and just a reminder that this video and also other video recordings can be found on the IBFD's Tax Takes web pages, and as well as relevant links and other information, including upcoming videos, talking of which the next upcoming video will be a focus on the impact of the COVID-19 crisis in the Netherlands. So once again, thank you very much for your attention.